Morning, everybody, and welcome to the Friday Mastermind around productivity. For anybody that's new to this call, this was inspired by Darren Hardy's Insane Productivity Program. Both myself and Todd Bookspan have been through it, and all of the mentors that are part of the leadership team on this call have been through that program. If you have not been through Darren's program, we highly recommend it. But this is just a mortgage coach mastermind. Everybody on this call is on the mortgage coach team or follows the mortgage coach team, and everybody is dedicated to productivity, which means you could do more business in less time. Hey, Todd, anything you want to say before we kick things off?
I'm just excited to be here as always, and I think this is such a great community. For those of you who haven't gone through Insane Productivity, that's okay. Your opinion, in fact, matters just as much, if not more, than the rest of the crew here. It's always great to have so many new people on every time, and I would just raise your hand or ask questions in the comment bar, because ultimately this mastermind is always better when we hear from you guys. So other than that, Dave, I'll throw it back to you, and let's take it away.
Yeah, no, we'll do. Well, I took my camera down just because, while I wanted to open the call and say hi to everyone, make sure I set the table, this is a mastermind. So the more people that are asking questions and the more people that are talking and sharing ideas, to Todd's point, the better these calls go. Now, Todd and I did come to this call with a big topic because this Tuesday I'm going to be doing a call on how to upgrade your perfect loan process and how to do it in a way that optimizes clients for life. We decided to make that a topic in today's call, kind of the big idea that we center around. By the way, I just heard from Tim Brahim, he's not going to be able to be on that call, so FYI, Todd, I'm going to update this image, and Tim won't be able to be on it, but Tim is we're putting together a date that he will be there, and we will be doing a call on the perfect loan process and clients for life with Tim sometime in September. So FYI for everyone here. So with that said, I'm going to look to see if anybody has their hands raised. I don't see anybody with their hands raised. Let's take a quick look for questions. Todd, do you see anybody that has any questions so far?
I don't, since I'm blind today to GoToMeeting. I'm rebooted the Mac. The update on the Mac this morning apparently does not agree with GoToWebinar. So I will hopefully have eyes on the webinar here shortly. So yes, a little technical difficulties today. I'm not used to that.
No problem. So let's start the conversation around this topic. Again, if anybody has a question, you want to share an idea or a question, raise your hand. But for now, let's start with the question. And I want to know, how many past clients do you have in your database? And for those of you that are new to the community, in your GoToWebinar control panel, there is a place where you can answer or ask questions. I don't want you to ask a question. I just want you to let me know a guesstimate of how many past customers do you have in your database. So Frank has 275, Jason has 128, Jay Allen has 1,000, Rick has 400 plus with emails. Keep it coming, folks. Jay has over 1,500, Ed has 1,280. So folks, keep it coming. Remember, this is a mastermind. The more you share and you participate, not only is it more valuable for you, but it's more valuable for everybody. Amy has 350 to 400. Tim has 350. Sean has 350. Dino so far is winning with 3,000. Bill has 780. Ralph has 1,000. Judy has 244. All right, and the list goes on. So by the way, great job. That was fantastic participation. Hey, Todd, before I ask the next question, any color you want to put around that or any push you want to make?
Well, I think it's really interesting because part of, as I'm thinking about it, I always say, gosh, what's the definition of a client in my database still as I look at it, right? So, my team's closed over 500 loans the last 2 years, over 400 loans the previous 3 years before that, right? So, we've got to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 closed clients in there now, probably plus another, 2,000 or 3,000 that at some point came into contact with us that we didn't close a loan for, and thinking through, who are the best of the best, and I wonder if people on the call are clearing out their database with any kind of frequency, if people on the call have, I know for us, we've got kind of a loyalty advantage program, which has about 250 clients in it. So within that big group, we've got a smaller group who we've been pretty proactive to engage with. So I'd love it to hear from anyone else if they're doing something special for a small group or if they're doing the same thing for all people. And then sort of what that looks like, right? Because I think that's the key and the beauty of this call. I've had a lot of my clients this week on the coaching side really looking at annual reviews and how to launch that if they're not doing it, and then really trying to think through going forward, what is that client engagement program, right? What are they going to do to add value to their clients? And so that's where I'd love to hear some folks who are brave to raise their hands and kind of share with the crew what that looks like for them.
So Todd, real quick, so you call that, and if you could even write it in chat, if you could put in chat, you have a big group of thousands, you have a small group of 250. What did you call that small group again? What was the term you used?
We call it our Loyalty Advantage Club.
Okay, so loyalty.
Not very original. We probably swiping it from that from somewhere.
Yeah, and what is the criteria in order for someone to be one of those 250? What's the criteria?
Well, it's embarrassing to say, but we kind of fell into that group of originators, which may be some of you, who closed loans really well for people, got great feedback on it, but didn't really do a great job of keeping in touch with them ourselves, right? Our company stuck them into their drip campaign, and they got one of those newsletters that none of us probably would ever read, but at least they did see our name, our name coming through once a month, and then and that was sort of the only thing that we did for them. And then for our best clients, we were doing annual reviews, which has always been really a key strategy for us. And we decided that, how do you go back and get these people? And I probably have said it on these calls before, but since we have a lot of new people, I'll say it. What we decided to do was 2 Decembers ago, when the Star Wars series was rebooted, we did a huge movie day all across Phoenix. We did 3 different theaters in each different part of town, with almost 500 people in each theater. So we did a huge push to our clients, and then we offered them a perk if they actually registered to be part of our Loyalty Advantage Club. And part of that was going forward, we would invite them to the movies sooner than everyone else, since we sold that movie out. And we now do a summer movie that's always a Disney movie, and then we do the Star Wars movie, since they're going to be coming out every December, going on. And so, for them, we kind of created a program where now we have different touch points for those clients that have engaged in that group, and we're trying to love on that group and encourage referrals from them. And then we're still inviting everybody else and we're trying to get more people in there. And as we close loans going forward, we're plugging more people into there, but definitely trying to separate out, the A players when it comes to the referral side of things.
Got it. So just to net it out for everyone, let's just say for try to create some guidelines, that there's the big group of all the clients and mortgages under management. That's what, at Mortgage Coach, we teach you guys to think of them as is how many mortgages do I have under management? And then there's a 10% in Todd's case where he was really creating community. He was creating events. He was inviting them to events. Obviously, he felt that those were the people that would be the best referral partners and the highest value past customers, his top 10%. And he was going deeper, spending money with events, making sure that they got annual reviews, just doing a deeper level of service. So another question I'd like to drive as we kick off this conversation, we're 10 minutes into it, is how many past client loans did you close last month? So for everybody that, told me how many past customers you have, please respond to this. And, if I ask you, hey, how many past customer loans did you close last year? Unless you track that and you are a numbers nerd, you probably can't answer that. And by the way, if anybody does track it and can answer it, please do answer it. But right now, I just want you to think about the loans you closed last month. How many of them were a past customer? So it's a repeat customer, someone you've done a loan with before. It's the second, third, fourth, fifth loan you've done for that client. How many people last month did you serve as a repeat business? So if you could answer that. So I'm seeing 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 5. Great job, Jay Allen. So far I'm seeing 1 to a few. And by the way, if the answer is 0, like of all the loans you closed last month, it's 0. You didn't close any past client loans, put a 0. That'll just help us see it. So we got a 0, we got a 3, we got a 1, we got a 1. Oh, 11. So by the way, Ryan Moreau is killing it. Ryan, hopefully we can get you to raise your hand in a minute and share what you're doing. We got Ed, who closed 4. We got a lot of 0s. So in preparation for this call and in preparation for the Thursday call, I have reached out to the Stratmore Group. I've reached out to Bill Dallas. I reached out to Rob Chrisman. And my question was, you guys may or may not know this term. It's called CPR, constant prepayment rate. And it's something that lenders who service loans, they know what their CPR is. It's the constant prepayment rate. And that is what percentage of their portfolio is paying off. You know, it could be a payoff because they got inheritance and they now became debt-free. That doesn't usually happen, but it could be. Could be that they sold their home and bought a bigger home or a different home. That happens a lot. Or it could have been that they refinanced and they paid off a loan and got a new loan. But what is the constant prepayment rate? And so first I want to make the point that I have vetted this from the smartest brains I know in the industry. And any guesses, what percentage out of 100 loans, how many of them pay off annually? So anybody have a guess? Put the number in questions. We're having a good dialogue. So one person thinks it's 25 out of 100. Keep it going, guys. What do you think the constant prepayment rate is? I've got a 15. I've got a 10. Come on, everybody. The way this call is valuable, we got a 33. So what do you think the constant prepayment rate is?
I used to know this number, Dave,
Todd,
but I don't remember it anymore.
Todd, what's your guess, though?
My guess is it's got to be 14, 15% currently, but that's I don't know. I'm going to my memory bank, right, from being a regional manager and monitoring that, because it was certainly part of, right, the MMRs and what loans are selling for and all that based on what it's looking like at that time. So I'm looking forward to hearing the real answer.
Well, I've got guesses ranging from 5% to 33%. Actually, I've got a 44%. First, disclaimer is it does vary. I mean, it varies based off of rates and market conditions. It's different for conventional Fannie product versus FHA versus jumbo. So, there's no one number, but a good average on the low end is 8 to 12%. Like that would be, think of 10 to 12% being the absolute most conservative estimate. And during a heavy refi market, 20 to 30%. And again, that would be on specific product. It's not like every loan in America, 33% are going to get paid off. But I would say for business planning, because everybody here is here to get better, upgrade your processes and your systems, I would recommend that you assume and you make business decisions as though 12% of your past customer database is going to pay off annually. Like if you planned, made that the top of the mountain, and you executed in terms of making sure that you do the right things to create clients for life, if you just said that was the number, it's possible that it's 12. And by the way, in your market, in your portfolio, maybe it's only 8%. But if you just planned around 12 as the opportunity, if you got 100% of your repeat business, I think you'd make really good decisions, and I think you would optimize your profit and your wealth building as a mortgage originator. Todd, any comments on that?
Well, I just think it's huge. I mean, I think it's that whole idea of opportunity, and you and I have had many conversations over the last few weeks on this, and it is interesting how many what I would call superstar originators don't really have a program where they're proactively reaching out to their database, and that's what I'm looking forward to this call next Tuesday for, because I can tell you, I don't want to throw a spoiler out there, but Lori Richardson, 65% of her loans are past client or past client referrals. And that's a real number from someone who tracks it. And so, you know, to have her on there and people to hear what she does in order to have that happen versus, you know, the rest of us who, you know, again, struggle with it. I was just looking at ours because I had done my research ahead of the call like you had asked, but I just quickly pulled a quick report to see what my team did last month, and they closed 52 units, and 4 of them were from were past client loans. And so, you know, good, but there's definitely room for
Todd,
improvement.
How big was the database?
I didn't punch that number, but that's going to be, I wonder, you know, again, and I'll get you that. I'll get that. I won't.
Well, do you think it's
2,000,
3,000?
We have 3,000 closed loans in our database. I know that for certain. And again, I think it's probably double that when I put in, you know, again, each stage, right? You know me, I'm a tracker of every stage. So we've got a lead database of people that we market to who are leads who never applied for some reason, that we have phone numbers or emails or both for. We've got people who applied for loans but just never took it all the way through to getting pre-approved or closing. We have people who are pre-approved. Again, for some reason they chose not to buy with our team, and then the closed database, right? So we've got those different groups as well. And so, you know, I know the close number just because someone on my team updates that every year. It's, you know, again, I think they're starting to plug it on our website too. So it's over 3,000. But the other part is, you know, to me, the interesting part is how often we get people who come back because we still market to the database of people who didn't close with us, so they still have our name and remember to come back to us down the road. I think that's, you know, another critical one, but not nearly as big as an opportunity as the people who actually trusted you to close their loan the first time.
Perfect. So by the way, Scott Short just said, hey, do you have any strategies how to reconnect with past clients? And yeah, Scott, I'm going to transition to that in just a few minutes, and we're going to do a community dump of ideas, and then we're going to identify what are the best ideas, and then we'll close the call with how to upgrade it. But I wanted to walk everybody through these metrics because here's the other truth. First of all, the mortgage coach recommendation is that assume that up to 12%, by the way, that's 1% per month. So if you've got, you know, you do the math yourself, but if you had 100 past customers, that's 6 loans annually. If you had 1,000 past customers, that's 60 loans annually. And by the way, that's just assuming that you converted half of your past customers into a client. And by the way, I have asked hundreds of people these questions that are top mortgage coach users, people that have created over 1,000 or over 500 mortgage coach reports, and we're currently analyzing the data. And there's no doubt that, you know, having what I would call a 6% annual past customer pull-through rate is not top of the mountain. It's just good core performance. And anything below that is underperforming. So do the math. For all of you that don't know how many past customers you closed last month, just do it monthly and then annualize it. So like in Todd's particular case, you know, you could see that Todd and team are probably leaving about 10 loans a month on the table because they're not getting a 0.5% monthly and a 6% annual past customer pull-through rate. So there's about, you know, my guesstimate, Todd, is there's about 6 loans a month based off what you just told me at a minimum that you're leaving on the table. You think that's probably
And I'm just thinking, thanks, Dave. Thanks for calling me out on this call about that, Dave. I appreciate that. No, I think it is accurate. I think that's, you know, I'm the first one to say that it's absolutely something that we're going to up our game on, right? It's, you know, one of the challenges when I transitioned out of doing loans 13 months ago to coach was stepping out of that chair. And now it's looking at how is the team doing the processes and the systems that they should be doing, and how do we help support that going forward. And I know there's other team leaders on this call who have the same challenges, and so that's going to be a fun topic of conversation going forward.
Yeah. Well, one other thought, because I also want to make sure we resource for it, because I think a lot of folks, we're going to transition into strategies and marketing touch points to optimize your past customer pull-through rate, but you've got a resource for it. And I think it's a no-brainer that if you have 1,000 or more past customers, you could absolutely ROI an assistant who's pretty much, you can have them doing other things, but their primary responsibility is delivering services of value to your past customers. And you could probably ROI that assistant and make a whole lot of money by just making it a full-time role. If you have less than 1,000 past customers, it should be, someone's role. And for those of you that have less than 100 or less than 300, maybe you have a team, maybe you don't have a team, and you just need to figure out how to add touch points and services to optimize your past customer pull-through rate. So by the way, we got Dave Gallegos who's joined the call. What's up, Dave?
Sorry, I'm late, dude.
Don't worry about it, man. You've been hearing the conversation that we're having. We're masterminding on, how to upgrade your perfect loan process, get clients for life. I've so far gone through the metrics, and now I'm getting ready to get into process and strategy. But anything you want to add to the party?
No,
from what you've heard so far?
Just a great topic. It reminds me. So my first, you and I, know the story a little bit, but Todd, nobody else does. When I first got into business, I worked at like 5 different companies the first 2.5 years I was in the business before I started my company. And so everywhere I worked, no one had a database. And a realtor who I'm still best friends with today, and he was a very successful real estate agent then. He's a very successful real estate agent now. Here's what he said to me. He says, make sure you get a database. Like, make sure you get a database? He goes, yeah, make sure you get a database. You can do twice as many transactions as a realtor, sometimes 3 times as many transactions as a realtor can, because of refinance opportunities. And realtors are notoriously bad at doing this, and we're great at it. And so, like, the first thing I did, and it was right about the same time I met you, Dave, and was exposed to the Duncan Group and building champions and all of that stuff. And right after I started the company, I bought an ACT database so that we could do just exactly what it is this discussion is going to be about today. And a more powerful concept you could not discuss, I guess. So that's a good topic.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, if this is done right, and if loan officers do a great job of it, the mortgage business becomes a residual income business. You're every time you close, 10 loans, you've got X number, or every time if 6 is the number, every 12 past customers equals a loan a year. So let's do this. Ryan Moreau, you, at least the way I think you answered the question, you're closing a lot of past customer loans. Ryan, are you unmuted? Can you chat real quick?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. How's it going, man?
Good.
So did I get that right? You closed 11 loans last month from past customers?
Yeah, you did. So what we did on that one, that was 7 refis and 4 purchases, but everybody I'd worked with in the past already. The refis really came from a combination of an email that went out, and then a couple of phone calls just to follow up. I left some voicemails with clients and just letting them know that the equity positions are looking, real strong. I did a little filter in my database to see, who had, decent FICOs and might be, kind of the low-hanging fruit in there, and worked out well. I mean, these guys all consolidated debt or remodeled their house. One of them ended up adding on a complete wing on their house. They took cash out to do that, so they could have mother-in-law in quarters, instead of moving. So just try to educate the consumer about what's going on in the marketplace, what we're seeing in terms of trends that they may not be aware of.
Well, that's fantastic, man. So by the way, congrats on that. If you could, do you mind sharing, some of your best practices on how you're managing mortgages and some of the things that you did to drive that efficiency? You willing to share some of that stuff right now?
Yeah, I mean, so honestly, for me, my sole core of my business is mostly realtor referrals, and then that got a little bit slow. We were having a hard time getting offers accepted, so I went into the database. I mean, instead of kind of twiddling my thumbs, we had deals closing, but it wasn't at the level that I was hoping for. So this is sort of new for me to dive into the database, but fortunately for me, I had kept good records, and was able to really kind of mine that for some opportunity. And there's more stuff that's coming out of that too. I mean, not everybody that we reached out to is ready to go right this second. Even with that, if they weren't ready to go, they may have had a coworker that was ready to go. So it was just a matter of, kind of checking the boxes, how many phone calls can you make, and what kind of results can you get out of that.
Right. Now, how many past customers do you have total?
Last I checked, it was 843.
Okay. And then that month, last month where you did 11, that was not the norm. You're not averaging that. What is any guess on what your average number of past customer loans are on a monthly basis?
Yeah, so the average has really been, and this is without a lot of effort. I mean, kind of automated marketing and automated follow-up and things like that. I would average probably 4 or 5 closings a month. So I was able to get the extra by just kind of mining it and being mindful with being intentional with my reach out.
But that's still a solid number of past client loans. So I mean, you've got a great process, great practice. It's I'm sure you're leaving opportunity, but you're doing well. Especially when I look at the metrics of a lot of other folks on here. Now I know you use the total cost analysis. How are you using the total cost analysis currently in your mortgage practice?
Yeah, so in those refi scenarios, it was simply taking their current loan, dropping it in there, and then giving them a new updated TCA with here's the cash out opportunities that you're kind of looking at. Here's something that's sort of neutral where it doesn't change your payment very much. Here's moving the payment up just a little bit, but look at how much cash you're going to get out of this thing. And then we also use it for people that are looking to move up. So somebody in our marketplace, our average loan amounts right in the 250 range, and we've noticed that there's a big influx of people that are looking to move out of those kind of starter homes and into what they call their forever homes. So they're ditching the house they bought 3-4 years ago at 220, and they're looking at something at 500. Well, the TCA really shows them that difference, that it's really on paper it may look like they're going to pay an extra $1,000 a month. But if we were to take, because earnings are higher, we look at their tax deductibility and we start really playing with, where does that actually position them in a true net scenario? It's not that intimidating for them anymore. So it's actually aided just from I could talk to them all day long about it, but being able to show them and have them take something away and look at it later on their own time really makes a big difference.
Love that. Well, it sounds like you're doing great, and great job on how you're using the total cost analysis. I do have a couple more questions, but before I go on, Todd, any questions for Ryan?
Just a couple of clarifying questions. What market are you in, Ryan?
So we're just north of Los Angeles. We're in the Palmdale, California market.
All right, perfect. Yeah, because I think it's, I think that whole inventory challenge is something a lot of people can resonate with right now. And so I love the fact that you guys were proactive and went after your database. And if you guys all heard that, most time when I talk to loan officers now, they're like, well, there's no refis out there because everyone's got a lower rate. So I'm guessing of your 7 refis, obviously they now had a reason to consolidate debt or remodel to do the refi. Were all those people coming out of a lower rate loan, or some of those people coming out of a lower rate loan?
I think all 7 of them had a lower rate.
Awesome. And so, I mean, the rest of you on the call, listen to that, right? That's again, most people, that's their stumbling block, right? That's that limiting belief. No one with a 3 1/4 rate is going to refinance in today's market, and you just proved that that's not true.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people, after we close their deal with a really, really strong rate, years ago, have taken on so much consumer debt, and to give an opportunity in a low rate environment still to reach back out to them and tell them that these options are there for them. They don't even know that they exist. And some of them are so blind to the fact that there's the whole myth about Zillow being really inaccurate with their values. They look on there and they think they've got 100 grand in equity. And in reality, they have 100,000 in equity, but they've looked at it and said, well, everybody tells me it's wrong. I probably don't have that equity.
Yeah, no, I love that. What are you doing to keep in touch with your clients then after close till now? Are you dripping on them each month, or are you doing annual reviews? What does that look like for your business?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been as diligent with annual reviews. It's definitely something that when I do get the opportunity to do it, it makes a pretty impactful difference. But um, most of what I have in place is just automated drips. I mean, these are a series of either postcards or emails that go out. There's reminders to reach out to them and call them. Obviously, if I get a referral from somebody in my database, I'm calling them and then I'm taking a look at their their current situation before I give them a call, just because I got them on the phone anyways. So all that stuff seems to compound into decent business.
You mentioned that 4 of them were purchases. Were you able to refer any of those to agents as a realtor referral?
Yeah, so actually, I'm glad you brought that up. On the 4, I believe I referred 1. The other 3 already were in talks with the realtor, but the one that really sticks out to my memory is that particular person had been referred to me initially from their realtor, and they reached out to me. They remembered me through the transaction, but they forgot about their realtor. And so I'd asked them, I said, well, you worked with so-and-so realtor. Did you enjoy that last time? Do you want to work with them again? And they said, oh, yeah, I totally forgot. I don't have any info from them. So obviously that realtor doesn't send anything. So I was able to reconnect those 2, and they were super grateful to not miss out on that new business. That turned into a listing for them and a purchase, because they didn't rent the old house, they sold it, and they bought the new one.
So just to connect the dots for everyone, I'm sure everybody's connected it, but think about it, because of a client for life program, because of a reach out, you not only got new loans and transactions, but the strategic value of that one deal, talk about enhancing a realtor relationship. So another big reason to have a good client for life, when you're like, why should I do this? Why should I resource for this? Why should I assign an assistant to it? Is because if you have really good systems and processes, every month you're going to be able to give leads like that to realtors and create that kind of value for agents. So Ryan, that is just a home run, my friend. Great inspiration for today's call.
Yeah.
Todd, anything else
on, right? Probably worth $10K in their pocket. I mean, if you think about the listing and the resale. So, I mean, that was a massive impact for them.
Yeah. Hey, Dave Gallegos, any questions you have for Ryan or anything you want to add to the conversation at this point?
No, it's great. It just points out the value of that database, and in a lot of cases, what we have found over the years, and great job, what we found over the years is that that's not that uncommon that a borrower will call us and they don't know who the realtor is anymore, and we still have a record, so we know who it is. But many times, that realtor, as we know, realtors kind of come in, not all of them are as committed professionally to the career. Maybe they've moved on, or in a lot of cases, based on the quality of the work that you do on the front end, and it sounds like that's what we've got here, that they don't necessarily they're like, do you know anybody else I could work with? We get that. And of course, that's a great opportunity. It's sad because the realtor lost the customer's trust, but it's a great opportunity for us to capitalize on. So well done.
Hey, Ryan, a few questions that came from the community. One person asked, what CRM do you use? Do you mind sharing what CRM you use?
Sure. So we actually use 2, or I use 2. I use Top of Mind. That's kind of my go-to, and then our company has a sponsored one that the company kind of controls, and that's through Loyalty Express.
Which company are you with?
It's called Loyalty Express.
No, what company, what lender do you work with?
Oh, I'm sorry, Sierra Pacific Mortgage.
Okay, great. Know those guys. Yeah. All right, and then someone also asked if you wouldn't mind sharing the email that you sent out to your past customer database that created some results. Is that something you'd be willing to share with the mortgage coach community?
Yeah, you want me to just throw it in the Facebook?
Yeah, if you don't mind, our Facebook group is up there, and you can either just take a screenshot of it, or if you're having issues with it, you could forward it to me, and I'll put it in there. But okay. That'd be great if you'd share it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a super easy email. It's nothing really detailed. I try to keep it super simple.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, maybe after the call, I would love you. It sounds like I'd love to see one of your total cost analysis. So if you don't mind sharing a move up analysis, or would love to see how you're creating TCAs, and I'll be happy to give some feedback on it if you'd like. Is that something you'd be willing to do?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Hey, Ryan, you've added a lot of value. Any questions you have for this group or for the community right now before we move on?
No, I actually just kind of got on these calls last week, so this is great. I love it. Friday's kind of my masterminding day anyways, so this is perfect.
Cool. Well, if you have questions or you want to share something, just raise your hand and I'll meet you. For now, I'm going to throw you back into mute. Sound good?
Here we go. Thanks, guys.
All right. So we are now almost 36 minutes into the call. I had two goals for the call. Make sure everybody understands how to measure how effective you are, understands, what the opportunity, what you're leaving on the table. I would ask everyone to make it a homework assignment, whether you do it during the call and you multitask, which is fine, or whether you do it at the end of the call. I would like you to, using the metrics that I've given you, how many test customers do you have? The opportunity is 12%. My goal should be 6%. And then I want you to, what is your average commissions per loan? And I want you on a pen and paper to write down how much annual and monthly money are you leaving on the table. So if you share it, if anybody's willing to share that, put it in notes. We would love, Todd and I would love to benchmark that and add value in future calls. So anybody that's willing to be transparent, whether you email me at dave@mortgagecoach.com or whether you put it in questions and we shout it out during the call, I want to make sure everybody gets off this call going, this is how much money I'm leaving on the table every month and every year based off of the metrics that Dave gave. And by the way, if you think my metrics are high and they're not relevant to you, I want you to write down what you think is relevant to you. What do you believe you're leaving on the table annually and monthly? If nothing else happened but that during this call, I'd say it was a great call. So let's transition to tactics and strategies to enhance and to increase past customer business. And I just threw 3 up to get the conversation started. And I believe that, first of all, if you say the right things at the point of sale and you create kind of a client for life expectation with a client, that's a cornerstone to success. Tim Brahim is, he coined the term perfect loan process, and I don't know anybody that's got a better point of sale script than Tim. Actually, there's a video he did recently where he talks about it, and I'm going to be interviewing Tim and one of his clients next month, and we will also be talking about that scripting more on Tuesday's call. But Todd, do you want to recommend some scripting or provide some feedback on this? Like, what do you say at the point of sale to maximize client for life experience? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it really comes in, sort of in two places, right? I always said I wasn't never the guy who would blatantly say, hey, Dave, who do you know that's thinking about buying, selling, or refinancing a home? That just was never, I was never comfortable with that type of a script. And so, I was always really, I was laying out the annual client review conversation as a value add when I was trying to differentiate myself, with a script along the lines of, Dave, since you've owned a home before, when you've seen the news say that rates have dropped, have you ever wondered if you could save money? And you're supposed to say yes, of course.
Yeah.
And I said, well, awesome. You know what? We actually have an annual client review process as part of our Loyalty Advantage program where we will be proactively reviewing your mortgage once a year to make sure that your loan is in the best position for you. And then when the news comes out like that, it's actually typically a couple weeks late. Rates have already dropped and potentially even gone up. And so when that happens in between that time, we'll proactively be reviewing your loan as well. How does that sound? And so I was always setting up the annual client review that way. And then the other way that I was sort of kind of hinting at the referral part was when, they would say, hey, I was referred to you by Alan Brown, and I would give my, cross-sell, how lucky they are with Alan Brown. I go, really awesome. But we're really grateful for the fact that, our team was ranked last year in the top 30 in the whole United States for the number of loans we closed. And we're just so grateful to our great realtor partners like Alan. and to our great clients, as a huge percentage of our loans every year are referred to us by our past clients as well. And so I just kind of dropped that hint in there right up front that we're gonna get referrals from you if we, that's what we expect. And that always worked out well, although you just told me we're leaving 10 deals a month on the table. Other than that, I thought we were doing pretty good.
Right on. Well, while we're talking, I am assigning a few homework assignments. I'm going to put 2 videos from Tim Brahim, my most recent interview with him and Caleb LeBrand, because it was kind of like, hey, Tim, you were the guy that coined this term, perfect loan process. We're more than a decade later. What's new? And it was one of his clients that crushes it. And then I'm also going to me, this video I'm going to share is just, this one right here, Tim Brahim's perfect loan process. It's pretty dated. Like we recorded this back in April of 2013, but not much has changed. And it's got some great scripts. It's got some great processes. And I'm going to make that a homework assignment for today's call. Hey, any other ideas or strategies you think we should introduce at this point? We're kind of in the last 15 minutes. I want to do make sure everybody gets a couple scripts. And by the way, if anybody has a question, we will make sure your question gets answered. So just post it or raise your hand. But Todd, any other big ideas from a, perfect loan process, client for life, maximize past customers, anything else you think we should focus on?
Well, I would love anyone to post in there if they're using any other kind of service for their client for life process. Meaning I've heard people who, use magazines with their brand on the label. I've heard of people who, are using products like Home Scout from Home Buyer Marketing. I would love to know if there's anyone else that's using something different that they're adding value to their clients with, because I think that would be great for this community. Because ultimately, going back to the question that you had earlier of how do you re-engage with your clients, for me, it was a bribe, right? It was a movie, right? I thought, gosh, who's not going to want to see Star Wars for free on opening weekend? And it was a huge hit, because even the people who couldn't go see it were still thanking us for the opportunity that we invited them and that we still cared about them. And it was an opportunity for us to re-engage with them, ask them for testimonials, and then really also get face-to-face with some of our clients who, I don't know about the rest of you, but our clients don't want to drive across, Phoenix, Arizona when it's 115 degrees and meet with a loan officer. And so oftentimes it's the first opportunity for people to meet face-to-face. And so, we kind of made it a big deal, with name tags and check-in. And so everyone kind of, you had the opportunity to identify people who you were trying to connect with. But that would always be my thing, is what's a good bribe? Maybe that's not politically correct to say, Dave, but what do you think?
Yeah, well, first of all, some folks have started it. I use send out cards. I know a lot of, we think the best practice, and we're confident of it, we see the results, is to do an annual review. So I just want to make sure, that gets out to this group. We'll be talking about that more on Tuesday, but doing annual reviews, whether you do it for every single client, which is going to get you the biggest result, or whether if you're an individual loan officer and you don't have an assistant, you do it with a smaller group. But I just want to make sure that what I would just consider blocking and tackling, the core to a great client for life system, is at the point of sale, you say the right thing, you give the family a total cost analysis. During the process of the loan, you say the right things and you update the total cost analysis, so the client is, they see that total cost analysis is valuable to make the decision during the transaction. And then annually, you're using it to help the family make a good decision. And then Kelly Zitlow is going to talk about it in Tuesday's call in more detail, but she's going to talk about what she does to the total cost analysis at the close. And by the way, just kind of reflecting from all the interviews I've done with top producers, the best of the best who have the best past customer pull-through rate, they've got a great script at the point of sale. They keep all their promises during the transaction. They do something very memorable at the close. And then they have a way to keep in touch and incubate and deliver value over time. And the best of the best do annual reviews, if not for all, for a portion of their clients. So with that said, if anybody has other ideas, other things that you're doing to maximize past customer pull-through ratio, please either submit the question or raise your hand. Dave Gallegos, any ideas you want to share while we're trying to get interaction from the community?
The you know, the basics. Somebody said blocking and tackling. The basics work. It's I always said you got to make sure you touch your customer. Every client that you close. So our CRM, we use Cimarron. Our CRM has got a campaign in it that just everybody gets a notification on the birthday, and the notification isn't for, we don't send an email on the birthday. The loan officer is tasked to call the customer on his birthday. So when you call a customer on his birthday that you did a loan for 6 months ago, they think you're calling for something else. And he's like, nah, I just called to wish you happy birthday, dude. And they're like, I can't believe you called me. Works every time. You call the wife on their birthday, that's the second touch, and then the third touch is the anniversary, the annual review, which we set up at closing. So you make those 3 phone calls a year, you should get 100% of their repeat business. You should, because you're touching them 3 times a year. You kind of know what's going on. It's hard for them to lose track of you if there's an actual verbal touch. And those don't take long. Those are slight. Those don't take long. And so everybody should have time to do that. And so I've heard of another really good process to stay in touch that I know Giuseppe here uses it. He's one of our top producers, and he calls all the A's, and he goes 26 weeks a year. He takes the alphabet, divides it by their last name, and calls the first 26 weeks of the year. He calls the A's the first week, the B's the second, the C's, and so on, and then he starts over. So he's touching everybody twice a year with a verbal phone call, and then there's the annual review emails and things like that. So all of those things, it's not whiz bang. It's just work, but it works.
Yeah. So there you have it from Dave Gallegos. Personal touches, whether it's, Giuseppe, where it's not necessarily a birthday, but it's making sure that you got a call and remember it, and there's an annual review, or whether it's, calling on days that matter. So real quick, Ryan, I want to unmute you one more time. Ryan, what would you say are your more important client for life touch points?
He was in that marketplace, so I reached out to him, and he was willing to right.
So Ryan was rocking it out.
Right. He's doing a deal.
Yeah, no worries. So again, if
what I'd throw in there, Dave?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I'd throw in there? I think there's probably some people going, well, I wouldn't even know what to say to my clients, if I call them twice a year. And so my thinking always is, right, I loved it when Scott Cummings said last week, right, the most valuable data in his database is his client data, not his loan data. And so, part of that's that connection that you're making with clients. And then I love what Dave Gallegos just said, which was, again, they're calling for a reason, right? It's super easy to call someone to wish them a happy birthday. That's an easy one. It's super easy to call someone and say, hey, I reviewed your loan. You know what? Your rate is good unless something's changed and you do take out, normal script there around that. Then there's a reason for it. Hey, Dave, when Giuseppe's making his calls twice a year, do you know what kind of conversations he's having since it's not around those things? Is he great with relationships, or is he just kind of making stuff up, or what?
Yeah, it's how's it going? How's so if it's the first call, hey, how's the new house? At the end of the day, you got to like your clients. I think that's really important. And I think about that birthday call. A lot of people are going, well, you call people on their birthday. It's like, do you like these people? Because I did. And so, you know what I'm saying, Todd? I think it's just, I think maybe we lose track because it's a transaction, and it's actually a family, and these are human beings, and we take care of them. They think we're taking care of them. And so I kind of looked forward to talking to them. And I think that's what Giuseppe's doing. So how's the new house? And that's the first call. 6 months later, you're calling them again, and it's like, has anything changed? Anything that you want me to do? Anything you need? Anything I should look at for you? I just want to make sure that we're here if there's anything you need. And of course, don't forget me if you meet somebody that needs a mortgage. It's that kind of a conversation. And so it's not, and then it's, hey, how's the job? You know something about everybody, right? I mean, so I think that's something I learned. I'm pretty sure it was Tim Brahim back in the day with, I think he was using ACT, and we started to keep track of those Ford items: friends, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? So it's like things that you kept track of in the database about them, so you could ask, How are the kids doing? You know the kids' names. Oh my God. You know my kids' names, right? So it's just being, real. It's being real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I think that's just so important, right?
Yeah. Again, you got to like them. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people don't, but I like my clients. You like your clients, right, Dave? You like them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, I do believe don't overcomplicate it. It is that simple. It's close in a way that they have the potential to be a client for life. Promises kept, total cost analysis, keep in touch. The only thing I would add to the scripting, and I know Giuseppe does it, but he delivered the total cost analysis within the transaction, and he's probably saying, hey, is anything changing, and would you like me to update your total cost analysis? And if he, when he's calling the client, he knows their rate, he knows their goals. If they wanted to pay off MI, or if they told him in the conversation that they wanted to move up in 4 years, remember, if you want to maximize your past customer pull-through rate, you need to Dave's point, like your client, care about your client, and you need to remember their goals. And then you need to have that, hey, I'm keeping in touch. Has anything changed about your hopes and dreams that you told me about? And would you like me to update your total cost analysis? Or sometimes before you call them, their hopes and dreams and their goals. Right. And you're just going right into, hey, it's been 3 years, and you mentioned that your hope and dream was X. I put together an updated total cost analysis. Would you like to review it? So I mean, just if you just had that lens that Dave just said, you saw everything through the lens that I need to love and care about this family, and they're a family, not alone. And if you were an advisor and a mortgage coach that knew their hopes and dreams and goals, and then you knew how to keep them updated and serve them over time, that's it. I mean, we could practically stop talking and not get into advanced strategies. So we got 7 minutes left. I wanna review a couple things. When I think of client for life metrics, like there's probably 10 things you could measure, but I would just tell everybody, I gave you that one homework assignment, how much money you're leaving on the table. I would kind of expand it to, do you know your conversion rate? Because by the way, if you don't have, one of the best conversion rates in the country, you probably don't have a borrower conversation that is creating clients for life. Every time I interview a top loan officer that has a great past customer pull-through rate, most of the time they have all the time they have a great conversion rate. Now, obviously, if they're working leads, online leads versus referrals, that conversion rate is lower, but it's an awesome conversion rate. And then another thing that I see among the best of the best is they, whether they're using social survey or they're using some type of solution to get reviews, they're getting 5-star reviews. They're capturing them, they're tracking them, and their clients at the close of escrow are like, you're a rock star. So are you measuring that? And then past customer pull-through rate. Are you measuring what your past customer pull-through rate? Do you have goals? So these are the metrics. Of course, anybody that is willing to share this with Todd and I, we are doing a study right now to really identify a playbook. So my hope is within a couple weeks, I've got, I don't know how many slides it's going to be, but we're going to have this awesome playbook saying, hey, if you want to maximize clients for life, here's the scripting at point of sale. Here's the scripting during the transaction. Here's the scripting and strategy at the close. Here's the scripting and strategy for annual reviews. Here are the half a dozen other touch points of the nation's best loan officers of scripting, and we will present that to the group. I promise it within a month, but we're putting that together. So if you are willing to share results outside of this call, email me, Dave at Mortgage Coach, with any of your metrics and any of your ideas. Also, feel free to just add them to Facebook. So if you want to share it publicly in our Facebook private group, share that. So, hey, Todd, we're in the last 5 minutes. I don't see anybody with a raised hand, so I want to make sure we're servicing everybody. And I don't see any outstanding questions. So folks, that's kind of your warning. If you do have a question that you want to make sure we answer or talk about, it's almost your last chance. Coach Todd, as a coach, to make this call actionable, what advice would you have to the folks on today's call?
Well, I've got 2 pages of notes, and I got to imagine the rest of you have some notes as well. And so my advice always is to get off this call, and before you jump into your email, before you start checking voicemail and text, do a jam session, right? Commit 30 minutes to looking at the ideas from today and deciding what are the 1 or 2 ideas that you're going to commit to, right? And so on mine, I highlighted a couple of things, right? I loved when Dave said that the borrower conversation needs to lead for client for life. And so I a big star by that was scripting for my team and making sure that I reinforce that with them. And so my question for you is, are you setting it up for success for a long-term relationship like Dave is and the people in his branch with the client from the get-go, right? And the whole idea of forward. I mean, it's just such a overlooked piece of the puzzle. It's always warms my heart when I have a loan officer tell me, you know what, I just closed the deal and I brought over the kids something from, I just had one lately where loan officer, the kid loves Star Wars, and so she had actually bought him some Star Wars stuff as kind of a closing gift. And that's different than bringing him a cutting board or some cookies or some flowers or a bottle of wine. This was something that was actually personal because she paid attention. And so I would say, what are the 1 or 2 things that you will do after this call? And I would just say, do it now, because ultimately what we all know is that you always have that you lose that intentionality. If you don't do it now, then you might not do it on Monday. If you don't do it on Monday, then you might not do it Tuesday, and then you'll be back on this call next Friday, and we'll be talking about new things and things that people were successful at implementing, and you'll be one of the people wishing you had. So that would sort of be my encouragement, is just to always just spend the time now and get it done. And come armed next week with some questions. That would be great. Do Dave's homework, right? Look at your loans and see what your opportunity is, because unfortunately when I do the math without really doing the math in my head of the 10 loans a month that Dave said, he's probably being nice. It's probably more than that. And I'm thinking, all right, well, that's 6 figures right there going out the door for our team, because we're not better at what we do. And so that's, I can tell you that when we do this call again next year, that won't be the case.
Love it. Love it. By the way, I just found that one script Tim had where it says setting up the next deal. I'm going to put that in our group as a homework assignment. It's only a couple minutes. Great script for setting up, at the point of sale, setting up the next deal. If anybody has a script that you want to share, just know that we are, we're collecting scripts. We're creating a playbook. Please share your best practices. Please collaborate as a team. Dave Gallegos, we got 2 more minutes. As a branch manager, as a leader of loan officers,
I want the book.
Your team
finish the
right.
book. I want the book, man.
What advice would you have any loan officers on today's call to make it actionable?
It's just, it seems like such a this is a great call. I gotta love this. This was such a great call because and Todd, great advice. Get off the phone and do something. You can improve this, and this isn't that difficult to improve. This is just basic common sense. And if you're, we only, our core values are we take care, we care about the customer, and because the customer thinks we care about them, you better care about them. And so this is just another way to do that, and at the same time, build a great career of lots of past client repeat and referral business. That's the goal. The best part, and I don't produce anymore, as you know, and the best part of my job as I was continuing to produce was doing the loans for the kids of people I did loans for my first couple of years in the business. That was the best, because they're referring their children to me. The annuity opportunity in this business, that's your database, that's your pension, and it can pay dividends for years. So I did and maybe we'll do this sometimes, Dave, I had a client that his name was Milt Reimer, and I show people the value of staying in touch. And there was I traced back over $4 million of the production from this one customer, the opportunity business that I got from him, his repeat referral business, and the people he referred and their referrals. So I tracked it back once to show the value of and I have it on a PowerPoint slide. I show people this all the time. It's called the Reimer tree, and what it means to stay in touch with your clients. So tons of value, great call.
Love it, love it. Well, hey, as you check out, everyone, please let us know what you thought of today's call. Todd and I are always here to deliver the best educational experience and conversation, so getting your feedback is important. Want to remind everybody on this call that we do have a private Facebook group for this crew. If you're not part of that, go do a search for Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach Mastermind Group, and I will approve you and let you in this call. Also, every single Friday at 9 o'clock Pacific, we want to help Mortgage Coach community be more productive, be more successful, do more in less time. So play it forward, let your friends know it, let other Mortgage Coach members know it, and please participate. Whether you do it during the session. Ryan, thanks for the participation today. But come to this call ready to raise your hand, ready to answer questions. This call is a wrap. Everybody have an awesome weekend. Todd and Dave, thanks for being mentors and leaders on today's call. And we'll see you guys. Oh, one last reminder, just remember, next Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a mastermind on this with other loan officers sharing best practices and continuing this conversation. So don't miss next Tuesday's call. Thanks, guys. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, out.